Good morning, everyone, and welcome to OneShul. My name is Patrick Aleph, and I'm going to be leading this morning's Shacharit Rosh Hashanah service. I'm going to give everyone a moment to log into the chat room and to get started, and I'm going to adjust my thing here so that I can see what I'm doing. Welcome to OneShul. If this is your first time, it's wonderful to have you here. It's just now 11:30, and we've already got about 30 people joining us for our morning Rosh Hashanah services. I'd like to encourage everyone to use the chat room. It's very easy to use. All you have to do is to sign in. You can do that through Facebook, Twitter, or you can use what's called chat roll so that you can log in anonymously. Please chat with other people here in the service. We are not a synagogue where you sit quietly and wait until it's over with and then leave. That's not how we do it here. We want you to talk, we want you to interrupt, to ask questions, and to get involved. We are here to be a community together, and the only way we can do that is if we participate with each other. So please log in. It looks like we've got about 9 people who haven't logged into the chat room yet. I would highly encourage you, please log in. You can use your name, you can log in with Facebook or Twitter. Great thing about logging in with Facebook or Twitter is that then you can friend each other. So you can friend me. My face is right at the top of the chat room here. Please friend me on Facebook. I'd love to get to know you better, and we'll get started in just a moment. The Machzor for the service can be downloaded here. I've included the link in the chat room, so if you click on that link, you'll be able to follow along. We're going to start on page 14 in just a moment. But before we begin, I'd like to tell you a little about OneShul. We are an online pluralistic community, which means that we are unaffiliated. We're not involved with one particular movement in Judaism. We are, for the most part, lay-led. We're a small Jewish nonprofit, 501c3. We accept donations from anyone who's willing to give. It's a tax-deductible donation. And as I mentioned before, we're not part of some great big organization, so we do everything on a shoestring. So I would really encourage you to please utilize OneShul, become a part of OneShul, donate, volunteer, get involved, make friends. We have all kinds of resources here. We have events every week, at least 2 events a week. We have our message board, our brand new message board. I'm going to razz Diane a little bit because she's here in the chat room that, everyone wanted the message board. We got to have the message board. We all want to have a message board. Now you have a message board, so use it. We have a prayer request wall. So if you have a prayer request, you can You can actually submit a prayer. It's anonymous, and we will post it on the wall, and people will be able to include you in their prayers. And we're going to include those people who have posted recently in today's service. If you need to memorialize someone that you have lost, we have a Yarzeit wall. We ask an $18 donation. If you can't give at this time, that's fine as well. We're more than happy to put up a memorial. Now, if you can't make it to live events all the time, we do have an archive, our video archive, and you can watch presentations, classes, and services after the fact. And of course, we have all of our social media buttons at the top. So we will begin. I've included the link here in the chat room so you can download the Machzor, and we will get started. We're going to do several of the morning blessings, and then we're going to have sort of a Torah reading. We're going to read the 2 portions for second day Rosh Hashanah, and I'm going to give a Devar, and we're also just going to have some chat. So that's why signing into the chat room is so important. But let's begin with setting our intentions, our kavanot. Let's begin with that. Page 14. But before we do the Baruch Hu and all of that, let's take a moment to just kind of calm down a little bit. We're logged in the chat room. We're in front of our computer. We've blocked away this time so that we can celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Now that we've done everything that we have to do to get ready to do it, let's just take a moment to stop. Because otherwise we bring all of that hurried energy into this. And this isn't hurried time. This is sacred, intentional time. So let's take a moment to just breathe in and sort of feel the breath coming in and coming out. Breathing in and breathing out. Beautiful thing about breath is that in Hebrew, the word ruach means spirit. It can also mean breath, and it can also mean wind. And that comes from the story in Genesis where God breathes in life into Adam. And Adam is a special name because it's a play on words. Adam, which means human or person, comes from Adamah, earth. And God breathes ruach into Adam. And that breath is the wind. It's the wind that is inside us. It's beautiful, poetic play on words. Now, we're going to do a deep breath in, and we're going to make a noise. This is a yogic practice that I picked up from a Jewish yoga teacher that I know. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one really deep breath, and then we're going to push out, and we're going to make a sort of loud noise, and you're probably going to disturb your pets or your significant other or your kids or whoever else is in the room. But get ready for it. Okay, we're going to build up. Do it one more time. And then the last time. What that does is that pushes out all of that sort of hurried energy, and now we can just be peaceful and mindful, and we can start with the Barhu. So we're on page 14 in our Machzor. The Barhu is the call to prayer. It is what initiates everything that we are about to do. Baruch hu Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach. Le'olam va'ed. Blessed be God who is to be blessed. Blessed is God who is to be blessed forever and ever. Praised be thou, O God, our Lord, universal King, who has made humankind with wisdom and created in us a pure neshama in your image, and we will do your will in love, and behold your goodness, O God, in the land of life. Praised be you, O God, who workest wonders. Our next blessing is the sort of canonical sort of creed of Judaism. And it's a beautiful thing. It's called the Shema. And the Shema is interesting because all the Shema says is, listen, Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. That's all there is to that particular line. So you would think that there would be more to it. You know, that if we were going to have a central sort of blessing, a central piece of identity in Judaism, that it would be more than just, hear Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You would think you would want something more substantial than that. But I started thinking about this the other day. If you're in a room that has artwork, like as an example, I have a painting behind me. Take a look at it. Take a look on the wall at what you have. Or if you have a piece of artwork on your computer, a picture or something like that, take a look at it. And as a fun experiment sometime, close your eyes keep your face focused on where that picture is, and then open your eyes and try to see and remember what the first thing is that you notice. So, if I fixate on a photo or a painting that's on my wall and I open my eyes, the first thing I might see is a certain color or a certain shape, or maybe I see an action. So if I'm looking at, as an example, there is a painting on the wall of a flower shop. So if I close my eyes and I open it up, the first thing I see is the sort of top of the shop. It's the awning over the shop, and it has these green and white stripes. So the first thing I see when I open my eyes is the green and white stripes. And then what happens is that my eyes move and I start to see other pieces of the picture, and then I develop the picture as I'm looking at it. It's a really interesting exercise. Why is it that when we close our eyes and then open it up, we only see one thing? And then slowly we build it up. Why don't we just see the whole thing at once? Imagine looking at a photograph with several people in it. When we close our eyes and then open it up, why is it that we only see one person? Or maybe we see the beach that the photo is set at, or something like that. And then we build the picture from there. Why can't we see everything at once? Well, that's because that's how life works. In life, we don't see everything at once. We see one thing, then we see something else, then we see another thing, then we see another thing. And that's how we develop life, is one thing at a time. And that's how we see. We see one thing at a time. So whether we are looking at our own lives, which is what we do in the high holidays, we reflect by looking at all of the things in our life that we want to change and we want to improve on. So too, with art, with other people, we see one thing and then we build the story from there. The Shema is just like this. We only see, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." But let's think about this. Hear, O Israel. What does that mean? It doesn't mean hear in a passive sense. It means listen. Listening and hearing are two different things. Listening is an action. Hearing is a passive thing. If you walk down the street and you hear a dog barking, you aren't listening at the dog, you're just hearing it. But if you listen to someone speaking to you, you're giving attention, and that's a different type of relationship. The next part of our blessing, Adonai Eloheinu, the Lord our God. What this does is this defines who we are speaking about. The Lord our God. Now, does that mean only our God? Absolutely not. Does it mean Lord in the sense of a king? No. Adon, which is the root of Adonai, means sort of like a leader or a head person. So you could have used the word Adon for, in the past, during the time that this was written, the Adon could have been the leader of a small provincial kingdom, or the head of a court, or something like that. So when we talk about Adonai Eloheinu, the Lord our God, we're not talking about a lord in the sense of a king necessarily. We're talking about the head of something. We're talking about the Rosh. We're talking about the crown. The head, the Godhead, means that God is ahead of us. God is before us. God is before us in the world and in us at the same time. This is what it's all about. Adonai Eloheinu. We're not listening, Israel, for any other reason than Adonai Eloheinu. Let's look at the third part. Adonai Echad. The Lord is one. Is it really the difference between one God versus many gods? Is there anything spectacular about having one God as opposed to having, one God or 3 gods or 10 gods or 1,000 gods or 600 million gods? That's not really what it's about. Think about what paganism, as it's defined in the Bible, really is. We have this idea that all of these different aspects of our life, the rain, the sun, remember this is written during a time when people were all involved in agriculture, that all of these different elements that control our life, fertility, war, that these are all individual and they're not connected at all. What we want to do is we want to somehow control that one little area. You know, we need to know that we're going to win the war. We need to know that our child is going to be born healthy. So paganism teaches, well, you just need to learn the science of those gods. So the sort of chief scientists of paganism were the priests. So the Bible talks about the priests of Baal and the priests of Asheroth and all of these other gods. And you would go to these priests, and these priests knew, okay, we know what the sacrifice is. We know the proper ritual you have to do in order to appease this god. Some of it was very familiar to us. We look at the sacrificial system that exists among the Jews. We have the peace offering, the sin offering. These are sacrifices too. But the difference is that if we want something from God, we don't get it from the sacrifice. That's what paganism is. Paganism is, if I do this, I get something in return. So as an example, if I sacrifice the best of my animals, I will get better animals. If I offer water to the water deity, then I will get water. This sort of tit-for-tat relationship doesn't exist in our understanding of the universe. The initial purpose for the sacrificial system had nothing to do with appeasing God. It had to do with us sinning, us making a mistake, and knowing that if we offered these sacrifices, the slate was wiped clean. It doesn't mean that when we offer the sin offering or we offer the meal offering that we'll get more meals or that we'll be atoned for sins in the future. All it means is the playing field is level again, and we can know with confidence what our relationship with God is. Now, this is very important because bad things can still happen. There are still earthquakes. There are still floods. There are all sorts of things that can continue to happen. But it's not because you did something wrong. That's the difference between the pagan understanding, as it's taught in the Bible, and the Jewish understanding. The pagan community offered sacrifices so that they could get something in return, to win the war, to have the healthy, happy male child. Jews offered sacrifices so that we could be on an even playing field with God. Now, I've been speaking about the Shema now for about 5 minutes, and here's what's amazing. It's only a few words. But in those few words, you have the whole picture. And this is what art is like. When we closed our eyes and we looked and we saw the first thing and then the second thing and it built the whole story around it, this is what the Shema is. And this is why we say the Shema blessing. It's that piece of art that's connected to our soul and to our tradition. So bottom of page 14, in this moment, nothing else exists. We are alone before God. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levana uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol medecha v'chayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anoki mitzavecha hayom alevanecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'divdeka uvlechlecha baderech uvshokbacha uvhumecha ukarshartam leot al yanecha v'achailu tefot beinecha uvkartam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. You will love God, your God, with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your might. Write these words on your arm as they are written on your heart. You will be reminded by these words, which will rest over your eyes and over all you see. These words will be on your door and on the gate of your home. Students of Torah will not fear because God will give them all that they need, rain when it is dry and sun when it is cold. And as seedlings grow in spring, your hearts will also be fertile, bearing new life. Your bellies will be full. You will learn the rhythms of coexistence with others. Disobedience and disregard of God's goodness will remove these things from your world, and you from it also. Teach and learn the commandments. Let us all learn holiness from the holy examples we are given. When I forget the commandments, return them to my memory. Don't allow me to be distracted from what matters most. You are God. We're about to get ready to say the Amidah. And so the Amidah connects the Shema blessing, this one very compact blessing, into something that is more personal. So it's a connection of group prayer to an individual prayer. The language of the Shema and the V'ahavta are all about the things we are going to do. But what the Amidah does is it takes the language and it turns it into I language, individual language. So what I want to do is I want to take a moment here in the chat room and I want everyone to think about the one thing that they really need in this next year. Now I'm going to put a caveat to that. Because we all need things all the time, right? But do we really need them? Here's what I mean by that. Will you survive without this thing that you need? Can you get this thing on your own without divine intervention? Is this something that you can do for yourself? So those are the two caveats. One, do you actually need this? Will this actually get you through the year? And the second part is, do you really need divine intervention for this? If you have a need that is like that, I want you to include it in the chat room. I'm going to say one more time so everyone has an opportunity. If you have a need that, number one, is something that you absolutely do need, it's not a want, it's not a I need a new car, or I need a new wardrobe. It is a need. And a need can be something emotional, it can be something relationship, it can be something spiritual, it can be something health and wellness, it can be a lot of different things. But it's something that you need to get through the year. The second part is it something that you can't do on your own? There's a lot of things we can't do on our own. But if it is something you can do on your own and it's something that you don't need, take a break from putting that out into the universe. Because a lot of what we do in life is we say, I need this, and I need this. And a lot of times I've discovered when I think about need, I say things to myself like, I need this person to do that. Okay, well that's not about me. That's about me wanting someone else to be what I want them to be. And it's not a need. I can get by if people aren't like me or what I want them to be. I can get by if I don't have the material possessions that I want. I can get by with things in my life not working. And if we keep putting those things out there all the time, what we do is we create this idea of a spiritual deficit. That like the religious, the spiritual bank and trust is full of financial, spiritual wealth, and I just need to somehow get it, right? Like if I can just get this stuff, then somehow I will be able to live. And the reality is that that's not the way that it works. Blessings aren't like going to the store and buying something. Blessings are things that happen to us when we don't expect them. Blessings often look like curses. They're something that affect us internally, and not in the way that the sort of Hallmark movies want us to think. There are a lot of times in life where the worst things that happen to us actually end up becoming blessings. So let's take a moment in the chat room to please put in the chat room, what are those things that you are seeking? You know, the song we were listening to as we were leading into services, Achat Shalti, the one thing I ask of you. What is the one thing that you ask? But it's the one thing that you yourself can't do, and it's the one thing that you actually need to get by. I'm going to take a moment to read a few of these. Diane says, better health and deeper acceptance of what I have. Bex says, good health. I'm chronically ill. Ketzira says, make space to grow and support system to help me grow. Jared says, family acceptance. Chris says, better acceptance of myself and life around me. Natanya says, more patience and tolerance. Ari says, more spirituality in my everyday life. Esme says, I need someplace to live that fits my resources so I'm not a burden to my friend. And Chantel says, patience and the ability to relax more often. These are all wonderful things for us to put out. Joseph says, more spiritual guidance. To become more in the will of God. So we've put out all of these requests. What that actually does is it builds our kavanot. It builds our intentions. It's a little bit like the idea of the New Year's resolution. We put these things out there. We don't put them out there because we expect God to just give them to us, right? We don't expect that if we ask hard enough that we're going to get what we want. Because the question you have to ask yourself is, for whatever you need right now, there is someone else in the world who is suffering greater. And I don't know of anyone in the world who has the theology that if they ask hard enough, they will be able to get a limited blessing available from someone else. You know, the mother who's just lost a child. Does my desire to have more relaxation in life, that's mine as in Patrick, my desire to be able to relax more, does that somehow usurp the blessing that another person is asking for? You know? If there's a woman who's lost her husband, or someone who's lost their job, does me finding more relaxation in life somehow take away a blessing from someone else? Like it was my turn to get the blessing from God because I was good enough. It's silly to think that way. And the reason that it's silly is it's that pagan idea. It's that pagan idea that if I just do whatever it is I'm supposed to do, then I'm going to get from the gods what I deserve, and that if I didn't ask hard enough or I didn't do what I was supposed to do correctly, then the gods will punish me because I did not do whatever their will is. That's a very pagan idea. When we put out these intentions for the year, the things that we really seek, it's not about God giving it to us. It's about us creating a proactive statement that we ask these things because we are going to go for these things. We are going to seek out that home so that we don't have to live on our friend's couch. And I've totally been there. We're going to take more time to relax. We're going to take more time to be in community here at OneShul so that we can have more spirituality in our lives. We're putting out that intention. And what's going to happen is that the more we do that, the more we discover that all of those things we wanted were right in front of us because God had set them before us. When it says in the Torah, I have set before you blessings and curses, it doesn't mean if I pray or if I commit sin, God will either give me blessings or curses. What it means is that God has already given us everything. God's given us all the blessings and all of the curses. Whether they come or go, they come at this time or they come at that time, they're already there. God has set this before us. It is right in front of us. And it's going to happen. And it's going to happen as a cycle of life. It's going to be erratic. It's going to be chaotic. We're going to have the high highs and the low lows. But it has nothing to do with whether or not we were a good person. It has nothing to do with whether or not we prayed correctly. It's simply the motions of life. On Rosh Hashanah, when we set our intentions for what the year is going to be, what we say is, God, I know what's coming. You have set before me the blessings, and you've set before me the curses. With my intentions that I create inside, I'm now going to be able to navigate. I'm going to be able to enjoy those high highs, and I'm going to be able to get through those low lows, because you have empowered me. You've given me everything in advance. You've given me all of life. That's what the blessings and curses are about. It's not about God on the throne deciding to bless you or curse you based on the kind of person that you are. It's about us having essentially a cheat sheet for life. We have the test right in front of us. You think of, I remember as a kid we had to take these multiple choice, they were called Scantron tests. And, you always dreamed that one day the teacher was going to give you the key. The key was the little thing that had all of the little bubbles, A, B, C, D, filled in. You could just memorize the A, B, C, D, and if you could memorize that, then you could get through the test. Well, that's what God's done for us. God's given us everything right up front. This is life. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful, it's all there, and you know what to expect. You know to expect blessings, and you know to expect curses. When we set our intentions, what we're doing is we're providing ourselves the opportunity to navigate through it better. Blessings and curses, as they come to us, are not about this being so awful that I can't stand it, or this being so good I can't believe I have it. That sense, that subjective sense that I'm going to have this experience and it's really bad, or this experience is happening to me and it's really good. Those are labels that we place on what God has set before us. What the intentions do is it gives us a frame of reference where we're not on the roller coaster of life. We're simply just going through it. That's why Torah is referred to as Derech Torah, the path of Torah. Our kavanot, our intentions, give us the feet to walk the path. That doesn't mean that things won't jump in front of us and scare us. It doesn't mean that we won't meet obstacles along the way, and it also doesn't mean that we won't meet friends to walk with along the way, or find fun, fascinating, beautiful things along the way. It just means that we have the ability to walk. And walking forth is a lot better than just standing in one place and going nowhere. So we take a moment to read the Amidah. You have our thanks, God, Lord our God, the God of Israel, and the God of our ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Sarah, the God of Yitzhak, the God of Rivka, the God of Yaakov, the God of Leah, the God of Rachel. Praised be you, Lord of the universe, shield of our ancestors, who established what is good. Let us return, our God, to your divine instruction. Bring us to your service. Let us return to you with true repentance. Praise be you, our God, who delighteth in the repentance of the sinner. Forgive us if we sin. Pardon us, our King, if we commit transgression. For you forgive and you pardon. Praised be you, God benign, who forgives abundantly. Behold the oppression of our brethren, and redeem them speedily, for you are a mighty Redeemer. Praised be you, God, Redeemer of the oppressed. Heal us, O God, that we may be healed. Save us, that we may be saved. For thou art our help, and provide thou a perfect remedy for all our pains, and thou art the true and benign physician. Praised be thou, God, who heals the sick. Bless with goodness this year, our God, our Lord, and its fruits. Give dew and rain for blessing on the face of the earth, and satisfy us. O bless this, our year, as thou does all good years. Praised be thou, God, who blesseth the year. Let us resound the great trumpet for the liberty of all nations, lift up the banner to unite them in the covenant of peace, and bring them nigh unto thee to worship you in truth. Praised be thou who lovest the community of nations. God, our Lord, let your mercy be revealed over the just and over all of us who are doing your will, over those who are furthering the good and are seeking for righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh, Baruch atah Adonai shomei atefillah, Baruch atah Adonai hosei hashalom. You are a blessing, our holy God. You are blessed, our God who creates and maintains peace. You are a blessing, our God who acknowledges us when we call out. We now take an opportunity to offer our further blessings. We've gone from things that we are seeking out to things that we are seeking for others. What are these blessings that we seek for others? Not because they affect us, not because we get something from their blessing. What's something that is selfless? What is something that is beyond us? What are these things that we can hope for others? I'll give you a few of mine. For this next year, I hope that we will have less conflict in the world. I pray in particular that all of these uprisings that are happening everywhere will be able to be resolved in peace. I hope that we can unite as a world to work for each other's benefit as opposed to each other's exploitation. And my hope for this coming year is that we will be able to see ourselves and each other so that when we commit acts against each other or for each other, it's done with a sense of knowledge that when we do one thing, we are doing that one thing to ourselves. So we connect what we have asked for this next year, for those things that we wish for others who we feel independent of ourselves. So Katsira says that she wishes for healthy, delicious food that everyone can afford. Bex asks for greater interreligious understanding. Chris asks that hunger and homelessness decrease. Esme, I pray for healthy food for all and peace between peoples. Jared says, I would like to be the positive role model for the teens I work for, and if not me, that they find one. Ari says, blessing for my nation, family, and friends. Katsira says, fewer people believing violence is the answer to an insult. Chantel, I hope for peace, happiness, food for the hungry, rest for the tired, and love for those who need it the most. That Hashem reveals truth to all. Netanya, more peace and love for all. King Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will that all of these kavanot, all of these intentions that we have put forth, either for ourselves or for others, will be fulfilled in this next year. Most merciful will renew us this year to our welfare and blessing. The most merciful will always support us in honor and will pour out the magnitude of Hashem's blessings to this community. Blessed are you, Lord our God, Master of the universe, who has brought us to this new year with love, commitment, and community. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehekianu v'kiyamanu v'hikianu lazman hazeh. We now take this moment to say the Kaddish. The Kaddish is for anyone who is observing a yahrzeit or is in a period of ritual mourning, anyone who has lost someone either recently or within this year. If you'd like to take the opportunity to say in the chat room the name of the person for whom you are saying Kaddish, please do so now. There is a teaching by Reb Shlomo Carlebach that the Kaddish Shalem, is not us saying Kaddish, because we really don't talk about the dead in this blessing at all. We've talked throughout this Rosh Hashanah Shacharit morning service about things that we want, or we've talked about God, and we've talked about it in this very literal way. Kaddish is strange because we don't talk in very literal language with Kaddish. What we actually do is we talk about what heaven would be like. So when we say Kaddish, we are not the ones saying it. It's actually us saying it on behalf of the deceased. And that's a pretty spectacular thing. It reaffirms what I said earlier about blessings and curses being placed before us. Death in the Torah is considered a curse, but it's a curse to all of us. It's something that we're all going to experience at some point. But what Kaddish does is it tells us what to expect. Blessings beyond words. So we take this time now. If anyone is observing a yahrzeit, say the name of the person in the chat room or follow along. Yit kadal v'yit kadash shemei rabah bi'amal divra kirotei v'yamlik malkotei b'chayachon uv'hoyechon uv'chayei dekol bet Yisrael v'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen Yehei shmei rabah mevorak le'olam u'me'olmaya Yit barak v'yishtabak v'yit pa'ar v'yit ramam v'yit naseh V'yet hadar v'yet haleh v'yet halal shmei kudesha brechu la'ila min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata Damiran bi'amah v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom v'rimav huya osei shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We have a tradition on Rosh Hashanah that we have special readings. The second day reading starts on page 20. Instead of giving a full reading, because I thought about it and I was like, I don't think that everyone wants to hear me just read to them. And you can read this on your own. And I encourage you to do that today. I encourage you to read Genesis chapter 22 and Jeremiah chapter 31. You have it here in your Machzor. For people who may have shown up late, I'm going to repost that in the chat room. What I want to do is I actually want to talk about this first line here. And it came to pass, this is Genesis chapter 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did prove Abraham, and said unto him, Abraham. And he, Abraham, said, Here I am. Hineni is the Hebrew. Hineni. Here I am. This is a special phrase. Here I am, or here am I. It's actually the proper way of translating it. Does Hineni, we're going to have a little pop quiz, does Hineni pop up anywhere else in the Torah? That exact phrase, here am I. Does anyone know? Katsira knows. Go for it, Katsira. Tell us where Hineni comes from. Where's the other? Rebecca actually, I guess, nailed it right before Katsira did. Yes, Moses. So there's an interesting moment here with Moses in particular. And yes, in Genesis as well. In Parsha Bereshit, Adam. So this moment of here I am, Hineni, is fascinating. Because God, as the theology of the Torah teaches, and it evolves throughout the narrative, but in this particular part of the narrative, God knows where people are, right? And that's the way we look at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. God knows where we are. God's got the book of life and the book of not life. And if we're in that book of life, and God knows we're in that book of life, God doesn't actually need a book, because whatever we do puts us in the book, one way or the other. God knows what's going on. But God implores us through the narrative, asking, where are you? And the response is, here I am. Hineni, here I am. I am right here. Now, why would you respond to God, here I am? I think if I heard a booming voice from the sky, I probably would seek medical treatment, but beyond that, I don't think my response would be, here I am. That's so kind of casual, and it's so flippant. Here I am, like, hey, God, I'm right here. Don't you know better? Such a sort of flippant answer. You would think that if you heard the voice of God, you wouldn't say, here I am. You probably wouldn't say anything. That's why we have a Siddur. A Siddur, a prayer book, exists so that we can have some kind of words written for us to say to God, because the experience of going before God would be so shocking that we wouldn't be able to say anything. It's like giving a presentation in front of a boss. What do? You write a script. You write notes. Here's what I'm going to say. Because if you just went in front of that big group of people to give that speech, and you had to do it without any notes or without a prepared lecture, it would be so intimidating, it'd be impossible. You wouldn't know what to say or do. That's what here I am sounds kind of funny almost, right? Here I am is so kind of flippant. What it does, though, is it tells us something interesting about the nature of the divine and us, which is that although if we picture God as being the king in the sky, asking us, where are you? And then us responding, here I am. It's obviously not a physical thing, and it's not even an acknowledgement of our personhood. We're not saying, here I am, I'm alive, or anything like that. What it is it's saying, this is the place that I'm coming from. Here's where I stand. This is the grounding of where I am, and this is my purpose, and this is my place. This is where I've gotten to. I'm not over here. I'm not over there. I'm not somewhere else. I'm right here. It's a way of stating, as Esme actually said here in the chat room, stating attention. Here I am. I'm looking up, or I'm looking down, or wherever I'm supposed to be looking. This is the place that I am at, and you have my undivided attention. I think that that's very important because when we read through Genesis and we read through Jeremiah, there's a lot of physical action. So in Genesis, Abraham offers his son as a sacrifice. In Jeremiah, we hear about the sword. We hear about the return of the Israelites, of the Hebrews, God remembering us. There's a lot of actions getting involved here. It's not some philosophy paper. It's physical things that people do. But it starts with, here I am. This one place, this one point. Okay, here I am, and now we're going to go forward in our dialogue, or we're going to go forward in our action. I think of Rosh Hashanah as being like that, being that here I am moment where we're in our place and we sort of have taken stock of the situation. We know that God is going to place before us the book of life. God's going to place before us the blessings and curses. But we've taken some inventory. We know where we're at, and we know that we can go forward and that everything is going to be okay. And even when it's not okay, it's still okay. And when it's great, it's not great. It's okay. I really feel like in life it helps to view everything you can as okay. I guess call me a Zen Jew if you want. But viewing things as okay, acceptable, I can handle this. It's very different than I can't stand it, or this is the greatest thing in the world, I want to be here all the time. Viewing things as okay, here I am, it draws up something inside us. And it gives us this sense that as we walk through life, we're somewhat untouchable. We're gonna get through it. Or we're going to enjoy it for what it's worth. And then we're gonna move on. And we know that as we experience things, as things come to us, as the Torah says, this too shall pass. It's going to happen. Things are going to happen. This next year, things are going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, and I am not necessarily the most intelligent person in the world, but I'm going to tell every person here right now, in this next year, great things are going to happen to you, and awful things are going to happen to you. It's just going to happen because that's the way life works. I have never had a year in my life where something amazing didn't happen and something amazingly horrible didn't happen. But hineni, here I am. And here I am going forward. In that spirit, I want to talk to you. This is my Patrick being the president of the shul. If you've been to synagogue in the past 2 days at all, you have to hear the president's speech, which is sort of like the commercial interruption of Rosh Hashanah. I'm not quite that kind of guy, but it's important to give it. We've had some amazing things happen just in the beginning of our High Holidays services. So I had the pleasure of being with Aaron for the guided Rosh Hashanah meditation on Erev Rosh Hashanah. I was there for Ketzira's service, and it was so incredible to be with these people. I tell you, we had 35 people Sunday, in our home for dinner. And people were watching what was going on OneShul and asking questions and getting interest and getting engaged. But here's what's even more amazing. We had around 35 to 40 to 50 people on our online services. Now, what's interesting about that? First of all, this is our first High Holiday services. So that's pretty spectacular that first time out, this is what we've been able to do. The second thing that I think is really profound is that when we had dinner here in the OneShul PunkTorah offices, we fed everybody. We made this great big meal, and there was casseroles and apple cake and wine and all kinds of great stuff. If you think about Judaism as sometimes feeling transactional, here was what the transaction was of our party. Come to our party, we're going to feed you, we're going to do some religious stuff, and we're going to be Jewish together. And we had about 35 people come. Now here's what's spectacular. What do you get at OneShul? Did you get food at OneShul? Did you get wine at OneShul? Did you get a place to relax physically, a new place you had never been to before? Did you get free flyers and stickers when you were leaving to go wherever you were going to go afterwards? No one who went to oneshul.org for services on Erev Rosh Hashanah, or anyone who was here for second day services, has gotten anything. You're not going to get a t-shirt in the mail. You're not going to get a CD of Jewish music. You're not going to get a printed book. You're not going to get anything. There's no physical, tangible thing. I'm not going to feed you. I'm not going to give you wine. You're not going to get anything. And yet, you're here. And just as many people are here getting nothing as people who were being given everything. I'm going to say that one more time. There are just as many people getting nothing as there were people who were getting lots of things. What that tells me about this community is that we are pretty darn spectacular and that you want to be here. And speaking just as myself personally, I want to be here with you. It is so meaningful to me to have a community to belong to. Really, the first community I've ever belonged to is OneShul. Esme just said something pretty profound. I was gonna word it differently, but I'm just gonna bounce off of Esme's phrasing here. Why is Esme here? Because Esme is getting the most important thing that Esme needs. It wasn't the broccoli cheese casserole Sunday night, and it wasn't the wine that we served or the soda. It was a spirituality. You know, synagogues spend millions to get 27, 30, 40, 50 people in a room together. And it's spectacular that here we are, just a bunch of people online, and we're interacting with each other. We're all friending each other on Facebook. We're chatting in the chat room. We're praying together. We're doing all of this together. What are we getting out of it? We're getting everything that we're supposed to have. That is a wonderful, wonderful thing. As I've read the past few nights, the messages that people have been posting here on OneShul, reading everyone's messages during Aaron's meditation service, reading all of the things that people said during Ketzira's Rosh Hashanah evening service. I'm just so impressed and amazed by all of you. I'm so impressed that I get to be in a community with you. I'm overwhelmed by it. It just is so wonderful. But I'm going to tell you, hineni, here I am. So here's where I am. It costs money for us to do this. If we cannot afford to run OneShul, it will go away. And it won't go away because we didn't attend. And it won't go away because God doesn't want it to exist or because the internet somehow magically got rid of it, or because I didn't want it. It's not going to go away because Katsera didn't want it, and it's not going to go away because Aaron didn't want it, or Diane, or Jad, or Rebecca, or anyone else who's here who volunteers, Rivka, Sarah, Menachem, everyone who gets involved, whose names I maybe didn't mention. It's not going to go away because we wanted it to go away. It's going to go away because you weren't here. That's why it would go away. So how do we keep that from happening? We do it in a few ways. The first way is that we donate our time. We donate our time. The way that we do that is by volunteering. There's lots of different ways you can volunteer. We have a message board. We need a message board moderator. Volunteer to do that. We have all kinds of graphic design needs, and Jad has been very helpful with that. Jesse, I should say. I keep calling Jesse Jad, but Jesse has been incredible with that. But you know what? Jesse can't do it all the time. We have these videos. We have our online library. We need people to make videos and to write. We need people to lead prayer services. We need people to teach classes. We need help with website design. We need help with translating. We have a lot of people who are interested in text that we need translated. So that's things that we need. We need people to help promote. So Facebook, Twitter, if you know someone who's in the press, maybe someone who's a blogger or a writer or a news person or a TV person, we need to get the word out about everything that we are doing here so that we can grow and have more people and have more experiences together. That is the greatest way that you can help. There's 26 people right now in this room, not counting the people that we have had at other services. I expect that I will have 26 emails now that I have posted my email address, patrick@punktorah.org. That's PATRICK @punktorah, PUNKTORAH.org, patrick@punktorah.org. I expect to have 26 emails tomorrow morning. I expect them in my inbox talking about all of the ways that you want to get involved. If you don't get involved, OneShul does not exist. Why? Because someone pulled our funding? No. Because someone decided it wasn't valuable? No. It wouldn't exist because you're not saying, Hineni. Here I am. Here I am at OneShul, my community, and I want this to be here, and I want more people to know about it. So make a Hineni statement. Send me that email and tell me how you are going to get involved. You're not going to tell me that you can't get involved. You're going to tell me how you're going to get involved. Because that is the Hineni statement. That is, here I am, and here's what I want to see. I want to be the change in the world. Hineni. There's, of course, another huge way that you can help, and that's by donating to OneShul. It costs, I actually totaled it today for fun, $569 a month to run OneShul. So what does that get you, right? So we've been talking about this idea of like getting. So what do you get? Well, you're not going to get a t-shirt. You're not going to get the broccoli cheese casserole. You're not going to get the wine. You're not going to get stickers. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get prayer services. You're going to get videos. You're going to get the library. You're going to get a Yarzite wall. You're going to get the prayer request wall. You're going to get a message board. You're going to watch OneShul grow, because with that money, we're able to promote. We're able to buy small Facebook ads. We're able to do Google AdWords and all of these complicated technical things that help get the word out. With that, we are able to promote OneShul. We're able to pay for the cost of streaming. It costs money to stream. It costs money to have a chat room. It costs money for our email list. These all are small costs, and they build up, and they build up, and they build up. It helps pay a very tiny amount of my time. so that we can train people on how to use the software, so that we can develop classes, so that we can edit the books that we give away. Everything we give has to start somewhere. And that $569 a month is how it starts. So you can give online. We have the donation button below, all the way at the bottom. It's for PayPal. You can also donate if you hover over contact. A little thing comes up that says donate, so you can donate by PayPal or by WePay. You can also give a donation in the mail. I'm going to give you that address. It's PunkTorah, 3530 Piedmont Road Northeast, number 2, B as in ball, Atlanta, Georgia, 30305. Again, that's PunkTorah, 3530 Piedmont Road Northeast, number 2B, Atlanta, 30305. Again, our goal is $569. If each person here, who's here right now, including me, gave $18, we would cover that right now. We would cover every amount of money we need for the month right in this moment. And that is a spectacular thing. And let me tell you, I live in a big town. I live in Atlanta, and we've got a lot of Jewish options. And I can tell you, they're asking for a way lot more for high holidays tickets and membership fees and all of that than $18. But $18 from each person here would cover us for a month. Now, here's the tricky part. Next month, I'm going to ask you for that again, because we're going to need to pay for it. But this is the price of doing God's work, which is what you are doing right now. It's not about me, and it's not about Katsira, and it's not about Aaron, and it's not about Rebecca, or Jesse, or Diane, or any of us who volunteers. It's about you. You are OneShul. We're just people with computers. We're doing what you need us to do. We're here as a team to help create community, and you are a part of that team. It's not about us being so into ourselves that we get up on the bema, so to speak, and, talk, right? It's about you. It's because we love you, and we love each other, and we want to be in a community with you. But you have to support it. If you don't support it, we can't do it. No amount of love is going to keep a website going. It requires your time, it requires your energy, and it requires your financial resources. So again, I would highly encourage you, please, $18 is all we're asking. But each person here has to give it. Now, if you can't give $18, give $36. I know that sounds confusing. If you can't give 18, give 36. Why? Because someone in this room is having a terrible moment right now where they go, I just lost my job. I can't give $18. Or, my health bill, my medical bill has gone up. I can't give that $18. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to do a blessing. If you can't give 18, give 36. And that sounds strange, but I'm really telling you, for any reason why you can't give 18, there's someone who can't give $1. So give 36. Give what you can, and give more than what you can. And continue to do so. Do it through your time. Do it through financial resources. Everyone has skills. And if you don't believe that you have skills, it's because someone told you you didn't matter. And I'm here to tell you that you do matter. You matter to OneShul. You matter to God, you matter to Judaism, and you matter to this community. So please give. I want to thank all of you for coming here today. We have all kinds of great stuff coming up, so don't leave yet. Sunday, September 23rd, we have a pre-Yom Kippur meditation with Aaron. On the following Monday, we have Mitzvah Monday, so we're going to talk about the mitzvot revolving around Yom Kippur. Then on Tuesday night, we have Kol Nidre Remix service. So Rebecca, who is here with us today, recorded herself doing Kol Nidre. So we have a Kol Nidre Chazan of our own, which is such an amazing thing. Think about that, right? OneShul has a Chazan who did Kol Nidre. It's so cool. I'm just so into it. So we're going to be playing that. We're also going to be playing some other videos about Yom Kippur, and we're going to be talking about what Yom Kippur is all about. The next day, 6 p.m. Eastern, we have the final Yom Kippur service with Ketzira. So Ketzira is going to be leading us out of Yom Kippur, and everyone gets to break the fast. We also have lots of Shabbat services coming up next October, lots of classes, lots of events, but we need you to get involved. So again, send me an email, patrick@punktorah.org, and please get involved. Donate your time, donate your financial resources, donate your talent. We always need people to lead classes, lead services. If you've never done it before, then you definitely should do it. We love people who have never done this before because those people make great leaders. So again, thank you so much for coming. Shana Tova. I hope you have a wonderful, sweet new year, and may all of our kavanot come true, not just for us, but for all people around the world. Kin Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Thank you so much for being here. Shana Tova.